All right, we'll call to order.
What's the matter?
We gotta quit talking.
Roll call name.
Roll call me.
Roll call.
Nancy Burmeister.
Here.
Mrs. Keeble.
Here.
Dustin Madazinski here. Jared Schuler. Jen Pearson.
Yes.
Mike Russell. Jeff Foley.
Here. Okay, we have a quorum.
Move to approve the agenda as presented on board docs.
Second.
We have a second. All those, oh no, is there any discussion about the agenda? Sorry. All those approved say yay.
Aye. Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion approved. And we have no comments from the audience. No, that's not yet anyway. Okay. So we have the informational presentation on the proposed 2026 music department trip to
Construction wrap up. Oh wait, I'm on the wrong one. I was going back and looking at a couple different things.
I think we will continue then this week. Yeah. No, it's my first night, not yours. Skip me up here a little bit
I was
here.
going back and looking at.
Okay.
You are. Here's an itinerary for this proposed trip.
Thank you. Thank you.
Oops, sorry. Nope. Here we go. All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board. My name is Darren Tran. I am the LMHS band director, also known as the band director who submitted this out to the public without getting board approval first. So I'm here today to do exactly that. So the purpose of this trip, New Orleans is the birthplace of jazz, right? So New Orleans, this is going to be a little bit of history talk. New Orleans is the birthplace of jazz. It was one of the first places where freed slaves could go out in public without being persecuted. That's the word. Persecuted. So these freed slaves would go and congregate in New Orleans, and then they get together in public and then make public music. And so that music ended up turning into jazz. So jazz ended up going on and influencing all of modern Western music. And so it's this huge thing. And so we'll go to that and experience the culture in the city. Ultimately, this trip is for the kids. There was a lot of talks about trips in the past. I know the kids talk about a proposed trip to Florida that they were supposed to go on this year. And it's hard for them because they've had 3 band directors in 3 years. Fortunately, I plan on staying. With your approval, I plan on staying. What this trip will look like, included I have the itinerary for you. This trip will be 5 days, as well as 2 days of travel. We'll be traveling by bus on March 28th, 2026, which is the first day of spring break, and returning on April 2nd, which is the Thursday in the middle of spring break. Let's see. We'll make 3 stops for breakfast, lunch, and dinner on the way. This trip is organized by Bob Rogers Travel, a travel company. I believe the school's worked with them before. Our representative is Sarah McVeigh. She was a previous music educator at Flambeau. So how much will it cost? So this trip will cost approximately $1,400, not approximately, exactly $1,400 per student and chaperone. We're looking at doing some fundraising this following year, including the fruit fundraiser, which is very successful, as well as the jazz dinner and all the annual fundraisers that we usually do. Instead of profits going into the general account, this fundraiser will go into student accounts, and this will fund their cost of the trip. Families are struggling with finances. We have a trip account with an updated balance of $21,400. If a student really wants to go, we ask that the student shows effort in fundraising in order to cover some of the costs. So we'll use some of the money in this account to help fund students who are having financial burdens. So chaperones too. We're looking for 8 chaperones. We have 5 chaperones so far, willing to go on this trip. Myself, Lillian Mivas, the choir director, Heather Mivas, her mother, Carrie Peterson, mother of Carter Doozy, and then Veronica Haig, mother of Saber Clow, an incoming freshman. So that would make 3 open slots for chaperones, and then we'll fill that before we leave on the trip. Chaperones, prices for them to go on the trip is also $1,400. All right, and then as you can see, we have our itinerary. And we have a lot of stuff to do. But the latest we'll get back to the hotel every night is 9:45, but every time it's scheduled to be back at 8 most nights. right, any questions from the board?
Well, first of all, thank you for being a band
Thanks for
person and
having me
being
here.
here at our, and this looks like a wonderful opportunity.
Yeah, that's fun.
Perfect.
Been there a couple times, it's awesome.
I've never been, so
Oh
it'll be
my
my first
gosh,
time.
it's amazing, yeah. Kurt, I have a question for you. So there's some kids that had saved for a trip during COVID.
Yep.
Is that money in that 21,000?
Yep.
Okay,
Mr. Trent has that. It actually was last updated in my final year, the last fundraiser we have that. So any student that's in there, or if they have a sibling, that is coming through now, that money is still earmarked in an account for them.
okay.
This one. Why do you want to go?
I would love to go.
We can just chaperone.
We enjoyed it. The music, like, we were, in the evenings, you'd have like one person come out, start playing something, some piece of or an instrument. And then pretty soon some other people would come, and then you had like a whole street full of different musicians. It was amazing.
On the second day of this trip, we have a clinic at Loyola University where the faculty will come out and work with the students on their musical ability. So we will be bringing our instruments. Percussion will stay there, but all the light instruments will carry.
I think it's awesome.
Yeah, me too.
Fantastic.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you for
you.
taking your time. Okay, informational presentation on the WA adoption of name, image, and likeness. NIL.
So I did tag this in my board report. I'll link to it. So if you want to watch the 30-minute video on your own, you are more than welcome to do so. It's pretty brief. There's still more information coming out. This is not officially in place. It's been passed, but it is not enacted at this moment. We just signed Wednesday. We agreed as the Heart of the North Conference that we will all work with a company called Influential Athletes. Who are going to help guide through this, and they will actually host a virtual meeting for families. So we don't even have to try to sneak it in this May. They will have it set up where families can log on and watch this. This will be added to our athletic code with what the WIA has word for word so that we're protected. We could go above and beyond that, but I don't feel it is in our best interest. And the coaches, when we talked about this, felt it was our best interest to follow what the WIA is doing. So what this does is it allows students to use their name, image, likeness to make money. If you go to the third slide, it kind of lays out what the new language is. It's not intended to restrict students from making money off their name, image, and likeness, but it prevents them from utilizing anything that says Ladysmith, Ladysmith football, Ladysmith volleyball, any of ours, the Heart of the North Conference and WIA to make money for themselves. So they cannot be in their jerseys. They cannot have anything on that says Ladysmith. I don't remember the last board meeting that we talked about this a little bit. Caleb Williams, when he was at USC, was in Subway commercials. Nothing he had on had USC colors, said USC, or anything like that. As you go into the fourth slide, 7 prohibited activities, you can see no use of school conference or WIA in the uniforms, logos, anything like that, no illegal substances. Money cannot be contingent on performance for achievement. It can't be if you score 2 touchdowns, you can go to Donahue Chiropractic and get a free adjustment. None of that is permissible. No people associated with the school, definition list donors, if they donated at any time in the last 4 years. So anyone that donated money this year cannot sponsor someone in NIL for 4 years. They would have to wait till that 4 years is up, and then they could have someone who's currently in, excuse me, fifth grade, be in advertising for them. So it's pretty stringent there. And in a small town like us, most of our businesses are supporting the entire athletic department or specific teams where they cannot now double dip and support individual students as well. Cannot interfere with academic responsibilities. They can't miss games, practice, schools, or it's a violation, athletic obligations, and cannot use an agent or anything like that to make money. Kind of the do's and don'ts. A lot of it's covered in the first 7 there. This is right from the WIA and Influential Athletes, what it allows, what it doesn't allow. And then 6th slide is that 30-minute video. and then what the responsibility is. So student responsibility is understand what the rules are. They can themselves find NIL deals and then execute them. Our responsibility as a school is to inform students, coaches, what the rules are, what the changes could be as they come, to provide the resources for NIL, what it means, and then we have to report any violations to WIA. So let's say there is a violation. A local business donated money to the athletic department and then they decide to put Aiden in a commercial. Well, we find out about that is Aiden would regain eligibility as soon as that money was returned to that company. It could be a matter of hours or days, and that's remedied in their eyes and you move forward. And then the last slide is just saying that we're partnering with Influential Athlete to help educate our students and parents to what is going on as this is morphing, because I got a feeling it's gonna change even more as we go through the first year and what it looks like.
Sounds challenging.
Yes,
What's driving it?
actually, a lot of pressure is coming from the legislatures. We were one of 10 states that didn't have anything passed. And now I think it's down to like 6 left that don't have this provision in place.
I think when I was AD, there's a lot of states that were having lawsuits by kids brought forth 4-0 deals already. So they said if you don't have it at that time, like it's only a matter of time, it's coming to every state. So.
And it's gonna trickle into other things. So like music has the Wisconsin School Music Association. I remember when I was in school, even as a director, where kids could not be paid to play. Because then you become a professional musician, you vacate the ability to be, and it's not as stringent as the WIA with it. But I can see this falling into other areas like that, professional groups for other activities that there are.
Well, I mean, I can see this at the college level where you got some quarterback who's gonna go on TV and go advertise something, but who's gonna pay a high school kid from Ladysmith to advertise on WEAOE Clear or something? I mean,
I don't see it being something that affects us a lot, but I think some of the larger markets, I think it's gonna be an opportunity.
Could be competing for talent too. If you get in, you can get them paid in high school. They might be more likely to choose certain areas of the country for their college career and stuff too.
So there could be like some really good athlete at Ladysmith and school, Rice Lake might pay him to.
I mean, the school.
The school can't.
The school can't, but some guy.
Hire them with the understanding that they
business
open enroll. Yeah.
Or an individual could pay.
Yep.
And then that would recruit, or they could open enroll in.
Yeah, they'd have to open enroll.
You can't recruit this.
Well, that could be bad.
Can't recruit.
That would be bad.
Isn't, do you remember
That I could see.
Grace won a cross-country award, or through, it was Mardi Gras, and she won, so it was $150 or something, and then we were contacted and said that she can't accept it. She ended up being able to accept it, but is this in addition to that rule?
Yeah, this is above and beyond. So like you can't, right now as it states, you can't win cash prizes for anything like that because that's a performance-based reward.
Can they still participate?
Yes, they can participate in fun runs and all that stuff that's completely acceptable.
So let's say Aiden went and played a golf tournament, not affiliated with the school at all, but he won it. Can he accept the winnings?
Just vacated amateur status. You're a professional golfer.
Wow.
But it could be paid for. It's ads without
Yeah, I know,
anything.
I was really banking on that.
It's gonna be thin soup for you then.
Well, if you just put the high school golf team, it's all right.
And as changes and stuff come up with this and we get more and more information from influential athletes, I'll include that so you're in the know with what's going on, because you're gonna get questions from people just like we are. It hasn't hit yet, but I'm waiting for the storm by the end of the month, of course, but.
Well, it's not the district driving
No.
this, this is a state.
No.
thing, so.
And if the WI didn't pass it, legislatures was gonna set the rules. So this is, to me, it's probably the best case scenario to hold kids accountable and still allow them to utilize their name, image, and likeness to make money without it interfering them being completely professional athletes, if you will.
I have a question, this has come up before. If you had like kids going to state for, say, wrestling, and they went and got their picture taken with the business's sign there and they posted it, is that legal?
As long as, so I'll use Lemke Oil.
Yeah.
You guys are generous every year and donate to the athletic programs. We can post a thank you for your sponsorship. That does not violate because it's an entire program
Okay,
gift and it's not an NIL. It's a thank you from us to the business for the sponsorship.
yeah,
But what if it was just a student standing in front of a Lemke oil truck that happened to be parked in the parking lot?
Depends if they're getting money or not.
because
So
like,
Owen wins a golf tournament, and he's standing in front of the Lemke truck as his mom takes a picture and posts it on Facebook at home. That would fall in that category?
If, as long as there's no money changing hands to Owen for that, it's fine.
I can feed them that day.
But even as a family-owned business, because I brought this one up at our AD meeting last Wednesday, because the people from Influential Athlete jumped on. Let's say you have your child and you own a family business and you donate, you can't pay your child then to be in your commercial.
Oh,
Okay. So more to come is what you're saying.
Correct, but there's a lot of questions like that that are coming up, and that's why, so we as a district are paying $250 to this company. The Heart of the North is covering $250 per school, the other half of it for us to have this extra line of protection to help us through this process as we learn.
Okay.
Okay, anything else on NIL? Thank you very much. Administrative reports. Who wants to go first? Go ahead, Troy.
This week, or last week was Teacher Appreciation Week. It was a great celebration of staff. There's a lot of different things going on in our building. There was some treats, some games, and themes in the LES. I know we had a wheel in the office where they could spin it, and they got either prizes or challenges on that. And the challenges were very interesting. So it was just overall a good week. We're in the process of wrapping up our third district assessment window, which is our Fastbridge and Ames Web. Ames Web's pretty much completed. Fastbridge, we got a few more to test up, and then next month we'll be presenting that to you guys. Family engagement night was a big hit. We had Out of This World theme was engaging, and we had a lot of students going to experience the Star Lab or the mini planetarium for the first time. I actually sat in on one of the presentations of that, and they had a lot of questions, and they were kind of blown away by it. We had a book fair that night, which I didn't include in here, which I think made just short of $3,000, sold just short of $3,000 worth of books, which seems like a lot for just one night with not really any advertising or anything on it. So last month sat in on 10 IEP meetings, and then it's hard to believe in just a few short weeks we wrap up the school year. Achievement data, we'll be looking more right now as we go into next month. We have meetings here yet at the end of the year to review our data from the third trimester testing window, seeing if kids that were below the 25th percentile on Ames Web, how many of those went above the 25th percentile, or if they're making progress towards that. Let's see. Brenda, Gina, and I sat through a presentation from a curriculum company just to hear them out, see what they have to offer. What are some of so we're looking at just the ones that are on the state approved curriculum list right now and seeing what the differences are between those. Attendance, we had 5 truancy meetings scheduled and 3 of the parents showed up to them. One of the meetings led to a CCS referral, which is through the county, just to get the family additional support, some different options there. We met with Rich Green to discuss truancy and what that would look like from here moving forward at LES. In the past, they used to appear in front of the judge, and it's felt that's a little bit intense for anyone from kindergarten through 5th grade to sit in front of the judge, and that better suited meeting at the school, as a lot of times, well, I should say every time, that's a parent issue when they're that young and they're not getting to school. We'll be having a bigger meeting to look at that and some of the other stuff that we have going on with truancy behavior, just generational issues plaguing not just our school, but the whole county as well. and what can be done to help blunt some of the negative impacts. And it's not something that we can necessarily just do ourselves, as we have kids from other schools that come in and they can disrupt the learning environment as well, so. Behavioral discipline data, so 95 majors this month, 16 students accounted for 63 of them, which, as you can see, led to a lot of different parent phone calls and parent meetings. We had 4 CCS referrals come out of that. One of the parents actually ended up signing up for a parenting class out of a conversation that came through that, and then a couple calls to DHHS for different things there as well. So we're working to revamp the Tier 1 behavioral expectations for next year and do a lot more training with staff on some of the classroom management, what that should look like, and then best practices there. Working with the county SRO and Family Resource Center next year to help beef up what we can offer to families if we have a student that is just struggling with regulation for whatever the reason may be. Working with Gina and Brenda on strengthening and finalizing a stronger approach to reading instruction based on the science of reading moving into next year. There's a few pieces that we feel like we're still missing that would really strengthen just overall the reading instruction going into fall. Then looking at behavioral supports for 4K and kindergarten especially, it seems like we have a lot of kids coming to us that are watching YouTube videos with things like Fortnite versus watching Sesame Street and Nickelodeon. So they're coming into school with a lot more worldly knowledge than kids did 20 years ago, I would say. And some of the language and things that they know is kind of shocking at times. So something, this, again, it's not something we feel like we can fully tackle just ourselves, so it's gonna get some more people involved, the Family Resource Center, county, school, law enforcement, kind of put our heads together and see what we can come up with there. And then just getting ready for summer school, last minute details here, and so far it's been a little bit smoother than last year as we're going through year 2 of it, and then we have some more changes for next year to help smooth that process out as well. Questions?
Why would we bring law enforcement in? To talk to kindergartners?
Well, that was actually Rich Green, for kindergarten, it's, sometimes it's just, they make their rounds when they have, so many hours to get in, so a lot of times Officer Ruff is generally the one that's in our building. She's just there. Sometimes it's they have more leeway to respond certain ways than what we do. So sometimes that just helps to have them there. It could be, they might be making certain comments or stuff that require us to pass it on to somebody else, or could be different things happen that just have to be reported on to police that they need to be made aware of, which in this day and age, you can't necessarily assume it's intent when, just because of the age of the students.
Yeah.
So.
And some of the families respond better to an officer than they do to school.
Well, the families, I agree, but I mean, like a kindergarten kid having to talk to a cop because he said a bad word seems a bit excessive, doesn't it?
Not necessarily a bad word. I don't think, the only way we would do that is if they got sent down or, and I was talking to Officer Ruff, and sometimes they'll walk in and she'll just sit down and we're having a conversation with the student because she just happens to be there.
Yeah.
No, it would be generally if we're calling police for something with kindergarten, it's going to be a much more serious incident than that.
Okay. So I mean, basically you're just gonna utilize them because they're there.
A lot of times they get utilized because they're there. A lot of times what happens too is they can provide a lot more background knowledge in terms of some of the stuff we see and why we might be experiencing certain behaviors or actions in school. They have a wealth of knowledge in terms of what's going on in a lot of people's lives, which that's why Rich mentioned bringing them in this summer when we have a meeting, because he's like, they probably interact with these families more than anybody. They see them in the school, they see them out in the community, they've seen them in their home, they know what their home is like, so.
Yeah, but I just wouldn't want to see those kids at that age start to associate law enforcement with, this person's gonna yell at me.
Oh, yeah,
You know what I
no, Renee does, Officer Ruff does a phenomenal job at talking to kids, and
She goes into lunchtime,
Yep.
different things, and has
Yeah.
lunch with them. They're not afraid of her at
Yeah.
all.
Correct, but I mean, in a case like this, I mean, the way that I read this was, the kids are coming in with, as you said, more worldly knowledge than they used to, and now we're gonna have them talk to a cop.
oh, no, that's not how then I worded that incorrectly. No, it's, they're
To me,
just
it's like-
coming to us, whereas kids before would maybe be able to sit for a little bit longer, attention-wise, on a carpet watching whatever. Sometimes now they're a little bit bored because it's like, well, I had a meeting with the parents who said, well, my kid just wanted to stay home and play Fortnite. That's why he was missing school. Like, that's not acceptable. Like,
Yeah, that I understand.
Well, and I think for us, sitting here until you've actually seen it firsthand, I don't think we can really grasp
Right.
some of the behaviors at these very young ages. You know, you just think of a cute little 4-year-old and some of the things they know or go through.
Yeah. Okay, I understand now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
All right, some quick updates here. The Fast Bridge window, we're already almost done with Fast Bridge testing. We're just picking up the last few kids that missed some testing. We actually started looking at that preliminary data this morning. Middle school and high school students participated in the YRBS last week. We did our Alice drill with law enforcement here. Overall, that went well. Few rooms not as good as we would have hoped, so discuss that. Or an email went out to staff. We'll discuss that more at our upcoming staff meeting. Lots of celebrating staff. We had been Professional Day this last couple weeks ago. Teacher Appreciation Week last week went well. I do need to shout out to Jackie Bernard. She does a phenomenal job. She's also an aide in the building, but so she came in on Sunday with her kids and several high school kids, and they decorated the building. She had treats on Monday, and she provided lunch on Friday. Jason provided some snacks one day. Kirk had an egg bake. I grilled burgers and hot dogs one day for the staff, just to show them a little bit of appreciation.
With the Alice drill, what didn't go well and what are we doing to address it?
So in an Alice drill, what we do is we announce the bad guy is dressed this way in a certain location. And ideally, teachers would evacuate with their students. So in this case, the bad guy was actually right outside the library doors. And we had some rooms that were farther out in the building that didn't evacuate. They locked down and barricaded. So we sent that out to staff, like I said, saying, you know, if you're away from that danger, and staff has been trained that as a teacher, okay, you hear where the bad guy is, you take a peek out your door, if it's clear, you get your class out of the building. And so some of our teachers didn't follow that, so a general message went out, and then there's more follow-up at our staff meeting coming up later this week.
And are you having individual conversations with those team members?
Yeah, we do that too.
As these types of occurrences tend to increase across the country,
Yeah.
that's something that I think we ought to be taking very seriously.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we always follow up with them individually as well.
Excuse me, were all the alarms working and the speakers and everything?
Yeah,
all of them?
Yeah, that was all working well. Everybody heard it. Everybody they did either lock down, which is kind of some teachers' default yet. I'm not 100% sure, so I'm just going to lock down and keep the kids safe in my room. But everybody was either locked down or got out of the building.
This is the first time that all the speakers are working then,
I believe so.
so that's good.
Moving on, our state testing is complete. We've gotten our ACT scores back, but they aren't public yet, so we're not ready to share those. But the little snippet I did want to share, we tested 65 juniors this year. 55 were here last year when we did the pre-ACT. So looking at those, we had, and on the pre-ACT, they give you a range of scores. It's like 3 to 4 points where they think a student is going to score on their ACT. So we had 13 students who were higher than what had been predicted for them. 34 that were in their range and 8 that were lower. And of those 8, 6 of them were lower by 1 point and 1 was lower by 2, and the 8th one was significantly lower than that. But I think that has to do with knowing the student. I think there was some significant test anxiety there. So just want to give you that little snippet of data on that until we can share everything with you. And we won't get the rest of our state data back probably until sometime this summer. Then we had a couple building leadership team meetings, actually starting to talk about next year already. A couple of the big topics coming from teachers in that committee. Our big one is actually cell phones and wanting to look at what we can do. We want to make it a policy or whatever the case may be of absolutely not allowing them in school anymore. So that may be making its way back to you either through the handbook or direct policy. And then we had our wellness committee meeting last week and we did that triennial report that needs to be done.
shifting attendance data. So I have 24s total students that were truant, and this year's data through May 7th, definitely trending in the right direction. 6 middle school students that are truant and 9 high school. I feel like our process has helped make that better. In my notes there, I have 7 students that I'm working on getting stuff sent to the county. They're included in those numbers that are under the middle school and high school totals. The biggest thing that I'm struggling with right now that we need to look at what we're doing is still tardiness. Today, I think I had 15 middle schoolers and about 17 high schoolers in to discuss. They had multiples of 3 tardies where it just needs to be those soft skills. That's the important part. You're late to work X amount of times, you're gonna get fired, and what can we do to help give them those skills they need to learn? One of the things that I'd done with one of the seniors, and I talked to Jason about this, and we had him sign it, is looking at removing the ability to attend games, dances. If you hit whatever that number ends up being, you're not gonna be able to participate in things. Or even looking at final truancy, as the statute says, any or part of 5 school days. So do we need to really look at cracking down on final truancy for being late to school?
Is this just late to school or late to?
Even to class.
To class.
Yep, because we have a few that are really up there, and it's frustrating. It doesn't matter, you're getting a school suspension, detentions, it's not changing behavior. So I really feel we need to go back to the drawing board, look at what we're doing, what other schools are doing to have success with it, and do something different instead of, the proverbial definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. So some changes coming forward there, and it's a matter of what that's gonna look like. Discipline behavior data, middle school, 22 major referrals, high school 4. Just kind of wrapping up, actually today I have one more phone call to make on kind of a major thing that blew up with some IXL, which is an enrichment-based thing, kind of working through. The kids found a loophole in the system basically and took advantage of it. So they were dishonest in what they were doing. So working through that with parents, answering questions, gathering all the data to show them why we feel what we're doing, and kind of putting a finality to that thing. And then minor referrals, 14 for the middle school, 22 for high school. As you can see, most of that's tardiness, and that's going to increase exponentially with today, because I think I have 15, 17 kids I need to put write-ups in for tardies. 2 bullying incidents, one at the middle school, one at the high school. Parents were contacted, supported the consequences, and completely on board. Been doing frequent check-ins with some of the kids that had stuff earlier this year. Just a thumbs up, thumbs down, how you doing? Just a quick, and things so far have been good there. Working on signing the contract to work on the Give Thanks initiative. Mrs. Zimmer, Mrs. Jefferson and I attended a virtual meeting on that. We have a $3,000 grant for that this year to try something different next year to help build the climate in this building and to make kids and staff feel welcome. They provide us with professional development, which is about 45 minutes in the summer, and then it's gonna take a max of about 20 minutes a week that we can squeeze that in during BAI to look at what we're doing to fix things there. And 3 vaping incidents since the last board meeting. And I was at LES a few days for Mr. Gago as he was gone, and got to meet some of his, hang out again with some of our friends over there.
Under your bullying stuff?
Yep.
When students make accusations towards staff members, what happens with that? Because that's a form of bullying to the teacher or the aide or coach or whoever it is. And if they're making accusations, are they then, and they're false accusations when it's investigated, do those kids have to go back and apologize formally to these people?
Ideally, I know the situation you're talking about.
I have about 4 of them that I've had.
Okay, I have one that I'm very well aware of, and it's not gonna do anything for that student in particular, but
Or
I'm
maybe not
interested
necessarily for the
here.
student, but for
Yeah.
the staff member,
Mhm.
because they feel, I think staff members feel when a student doesn't come and apologize, they feel like nothing's been done about the situation, even though they know they were sent to the office.
Mhm.
I think that's just where the staff is at right now, as far as like feeling inferior to what the students have accused them of when they know by looking at the film?
And I'm aware of one, so I'd be interested to hear what the other ones were, so I can look into it.
Because in the real world, you start making false accusations, someone could be in. I mean, people lose their jobs over stuff like that.
There we go. Just some of our upcoming events, senior banquets tomorrow night, that's always a big one, and a nice night for our seniors. High school choir and band concerts coming up next week. Graduation is less than 2 weeks away. Some trips coming up at the end of the year. A couple blanks in there because 6th grade hasn't told me what they're doing, and 8th grade changed their plan. They had exceptionally poor attendance on all of their other activity days this year. So rather than spending thousands of dollars to take the kids out of state, which you approved previously, they've changed their mind and are going to do something more locally. Because if they said if only half of our students or less are going to go, why are we going to spend all this money to do it? So in case you hear anything, that would be what's going on there. And 8th grade promotion at 9 a.m. on June 4th. Just the last couple of things there. Middle school is focusing on resilience in the month of May. They have a field day scheduled at the end of the month. And as I mentioned, the high school is going to be looking at cell phone policy, and they want to get some more structure into what we do at the end of the day in VAI and holding kids more accountable to their grades and homework and things like that.
Everything else I have, oh, sorry, go ahead.
Sorry, no, that's okay. If there's families that can't afford the $19 dinner, that's something they would have been able to call and say.
Yeah.
Because maybe next time on the letter, we put that on there that they're, just
Yep.
let us know you're coming or whatever.
Yep, I will talk to Jody and Amy about that, absolutely. Everything else I have on there, I kind of hit on a little bit, looking at bringing back our PBIS committee for the high school, get a little more staff involvement in what we're doing to positively affect student behavior. I also feel that that initiative with Give Thanks will help us through that process as well without calling it necessarily PBIS. Jumping ahead to athletics, the annual meeting at WIA was quite eventful there. NILs we talked about. The contact day limits have been removed for all sports in the state of Wisconsin. That means if a coach so chose, they could practice every single day all summer in their respective sport. We had a head coaches meeting April 30th, which was the week after that. We had a really good discussion, and none of our head coaches that were there have any intention of taking advantage of that new opportunity that they have. The WIA's logic for it was it makes it way easier on us athletic directors to police or monitor what is contact, what's that gray area, what isn't. It makes it more open for kids to be working with the coaches that the schools feel are most qualified to be working with the students. We did pass the head coaches, all passed the co-curricular code of conduct. Edits are being made before it comes to you in June to vote on. We'll also be involving the heads of the co-curricular activities to have them involved in the situation as well. And then we had April 7th, May 7th, sorry, last Wednesday at 7 o'clock, we had a signing day for our 5 seniors that are going on to play collegiate sports next year. Spring sports are in full swing. Mother Nature has not been kind this year. I really appreciated last year's spring where we had minimal reschedules. So that's kept me very busy. I mean, I think 2 weeks ago, Thursday, I made about 60 phone calls to find 2 officials for a baseball game because it's hard to get people and everybody's rescheduling. So we were proactive like last night with the storms that are predicted on Thursday. Softball played a doubleheader on Cumberland to open up a date next Monday. So if we do get canceled Thursday, we could just bump a conference doubleheader to there in order to get all the games in. We're working on the Athletic Hall of Fame yet. I gotta get those letters out before the end of the month, the people that will be inducted and the rest of the items on that list.
Is the Hall of Fame for school records? It's the Hall of Fame. I don't remember.
last meeting, we had approval for the Athletic Hall of Fame, where we're, this first 2 years, we are recognizing people before 1969 for athletic contributions to Ladysmith High School. And then we have a criteria for them to follow moving forward. People have to be nominated, letters of recommendation to go through and start that process of recognizing our alumni that have gone above and beyond.
Okay.
10 years.
And you have to be out for 10 years in order to be.
I recall.
Yep.
Just-
The cell phone thing, I can see being a hot topic
Yes.
for the entire community. I can see
Mhm.
filling up a gym of parents in there.
Yeah, and we do have some schools in the area that have gone to those magnetic locking bags, and they make all their kids pay $35 to get one of those bags, and their phones get locked up during the day. So, I mean, nobody's got a great answer. Schools are doing different things, but it's an issue for our kids, and
Yeah.
so so it's something the staff wants to talk more about and come up with a proposal as to what exactly we would like to do.
Well, and moving forward, like your middle school kids are coming up and haven't had phones, correct? So,
Theoretically, yes.
Yeah.
well, right, but,
Yeah.
the hardest struggles will be the next 3 years is the ones that had them. But even your freshmen this year didn't have them for very long, did they? When you shut off the internet?
No.
You know, like your
They have
juniors,
limited access.
yeah, your
when we're
juniors
playing
and
the
seniors
black
have
and
had
white
it for how
Yeah.
many years, and so. it's-
And they all have lockers, right?
Mhm.
So instead of having it on their person, they can have it in their locker.
That's one of the things the staff has started talking about, yes, just making them lock them in their lockers during the day.
I do know someone from Medford that had the magnetic bags, and the kids keep the magnetic bags on them then?
Some schools have them turn them in, some schools,
Most
just
have them.
it goes in the bag, gets zipped, and it gets handed right back to them, gets unlocked at the end of the
At the
day.
end of the day. Oh,
There's a lot of logistics, no matter what we do, there's going to be
Okay.
a lot of policing and things to be done.
I think there would need to be too, like, I know that someone had said that someone with an IEP, they had to have their phone, and like, there would have to be like, no phone for anyone, like, nobody. Or, there can't be these exceptions.
Or you
It's
bring
all or
in,
nothing.
you bring in an old phone from the closet to be locked in the magnetic bag.
And we have kids that do that when they know they have to turn in their phones, they'll bring us a dummy or a burner phone, and that's what they turn into
And
the
that's what
office, and
they
they have their other one with them.
I had a student call me one day from school on their cell phone. It was a 415 number, so I answered it. Turned out to be a senior. I thought he called his mom. And I said, "This is Mrs. Kebo." And I recognized the voice, and they told me who he was. We had a little conversation. And then I called Kirk and I said, "Does the school know this kid just called home to say he's not feeling good and he wants to go home?" Nope.
Was it my kid?
No, I'd have yelled at your kid.
Thank you.
It was just kind of funny, because they're taking it upon themselves to make phone calls to go home.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Jason.
All right, some of the items have been discussed, but I'll just some of the highlights. The pool boiler installation continues. Met with Barton Gale last week just again to confirm. They look to be completed on May 28th. They're waiting on a few final parts. Then on the 28th, they'll fire them up, and then they hope within a day or two after that, the area would be warm enough to then to open up the pool again. That would then close out everything with Kraus Anderson, and then any further projects we have would be on our own. We are projected to end the year with some savings over what was budgeted. Some of that is the mild winter, some of that's other costs that we saved in, somebody who maybe was going to take health insurance didn't, vice versa. So that is a positive because again, next year we are still projecting a deficit. So that would balance out what we would be saving this year perhaps. Also, in June, Elise will be here from Baird. We are going to also recommend just looking at the budget and approving of some budget modifications. Typically, you don't do that, but with the referendum project being finished, there were a few larger purchases this year that hadn't been in the budget. That way, it just kind of aligns more. So you approve those purchases already, but this just makes the adjustments to the budget. Also then at the June meeting, we will have the proposed 2025-2026 budget. At this point, there still isn't a whole lot of guidance from the state on what they're looking at. Many of the governor's proposals have already been nixed. So we are building a budget thinking that we will get no increase. So we're just building in that manner. If in July budget is finalized or before the June meeting, we will then obviously make those adjustments. The piping replacement proposal for buildings 2, 4, and 6 is on the agenda this evening. This was part of the 3 phases of piping. Initially, this building was the phase 1, phase 2 are the other buildings, and phase 3 was the pool piping, but because of cost and timing, those items were then flipped. So instead, this now kind of is, phase 1 has now become phase 2. The money for that was, or is coming from Fund 46 and is put aside for that as well as finishing the other building. I was hoping they could get both buildings in this year, or both phases, but unfortunately they could not get both projects done. There is a chance that depending on some costs, we may look at approving it in January next year if we think the cost may go up, and then they would purchase the items, bring it here, keep it in storage, and then when it gets to be summer, they would then do the piping project. But that would then put all new piping that needs to be replaced in this building to be completed after next year.
Do we know how long the quotes are good for?
So the quotes you have this evening, each of the phases went up about $50,000. So from what they were the prior ones. The ones for, I asked like, what is he thinking for next year? He thinks maybe 10%, that would probably be more labor costs than actual material costs. But he said that can obviously fluctuate. Also, the quotes I had them give us this time are worst case scenarios. So if they find expanses of pipe that do not need to be replaced, then they would obviously deduct that from the overall costs. The elementary school had a mass reader contest, staff wore masks, read books. I was lucky enough to be asked, so I participated. I was the lion, Mr. Goggle was the pink Power Ranger. There was an astronaut, a giraffe, and I think an old man.
Yes.
Maybe. So the kids were really excited. It was a really fun experience to have, so I was happy to participate with that. And I think, again, it just highlights the importance of reading and the fun stuff that students can experience through that. The book fair also, I didn't have it on here, but the book fair I thought was a great success. I think I waited in line, 25 minutes to buy my purchase. I mean, it was a steady line of people there. That's also exciting to see people doing that. There will be an end of the year retirement celebration on June 5th. Currently we're planning the celebration to start about 1:15 in the auditorium, and then there'll be some refreshments afterwards, and all board members are invited. You'll get a little more formal invite when it gets a bit closer. From my understanding, they haven't done that for a couple of years, so the idea is to bring that back since we do have some retirees again this year. Graduation, as Mr. Croswell mentioned, is May 24th. Board members are invited to attend that. And then the last day of school is June 5th. It is a half day for students, and then summer school will begin the following week. So it's a busy time of year, a lot of stuff going on, but it's also a really exciting time of year because everybody's looking forward to summer and then that break.
Yes.
Can I ask a question on a different report
Sure.
on buildings and grounds? Why are we reattaching new sinks back to the wall? Are kids destroying them?
Every month since December. I looked it up a little bit. Every month since November, we've had to put sinks back on in one of the bathrooms.
Or they're just held up with a.
I actually went and looked at all of them. I can see why they're coming off, now that you said that kids are sitting on them.
Yes, and so that was the question I brought up. The other question we had that came up was the toilets that were purchased. They have a actual lid on them. And my response from Kraus was that's what was bid out at the time. So the other process would be, we would have to start like basically a phased approach to replace the sinks. Because yes, I think the way the sinks that were purchased are not as sturdy as they should be. So
Yeah,
again, I think some of it is.
But
But how many kids quit sitting on the day?
Well, and
Well,
that's,
all they do is lean on them, they said, even just kind of, to me, it's a silly thing to put in a high school.
It is, but they're all over. I mean, you go to
Yes.
Walmart.
part of it is students, like, and then like the toilet part is one of the purchased there, I don't think they read, the toilet is it's the sink, and that's the same question I had about whether or not it has to be handled through having harsher conversation with students about it, having people check. I don't have the fast solution, but that is, yes, a problem that has been, I think, since almost installation, that they are either sitting on them or must be leaning up against them. I'm not sure why they would sit on them. But again,
I can't imagine leaning on the sink and ripping them off.
Well, and that was what
Put
some,
tar pitch on it when they sit on, you know, we did.
Well, and I just say that because I mean, those types of sinks are all
Jeans
over
turn
the
purple or
place.
something.
They're not just in school, so.
well, and that was one of the conversations, there's some way we can brace them differently or structure them slightly different, and that wasn't there. The response wasn't as helpful from how they might be able to replace that, or the solution was to do a different kind of sink, but I also don't think the way it's designed right now, you'd have to be a lot more expensive to do that. So part of it is there another option to support it without having a post put under there, which doesn't look attractive either to brand new.
They're not, they're warm out sinks.
But I mean, we had sinks before that didn't come off the wall, right?
And they were just like these.
So I don't know if it was, and again, I don't know if it was installation or if it was the tile work or something that causes it. And again, I did not get a very helpful solution from KA, but again, that is one of the projects that in Mr. Surf we've talked about, that we have to figure out a better solution, because it is a huge waste of everybody's time, and then a huge waste of money to have to buy sink replacements. And I know they have closed down some of the bathrooms where it's happened more continually, which makes me feel like it's not just an accidental thing, it's just kids purposely causing damage there.
Okay, and then the installed more damaged exit signs. So are the kids purposely jumping up and smashing them, or what's the deal with that?
And that one I do not.
No, I'm not 100% sure, and I know back at one of the wrestling meets, we had a wrestler who was upset and broke one, and he was responsible for the damages. We had another one of our exit lights in the gym that have the like spotlight things on them, and it got hit by a volleyball, and one of those things broke off. Those are the only two I'm aware of.
It just seemed odd to me, installed more damage, and I'm like, what do you mean more damage? What else is out there?
I can tell you that, like, every park in Ladysmith, every year, the
It was on there for
vandals
last month too.
everywhere, I mean, it's just it's a huge problem.
No, it's copy and paste.
Okay. Thank you.
I've gone back and looked since December, and you can almost look at each report, and it's the same report almost every month, so.
So are you curious to know that if they are adding or changing the report, or are we just getting a cookie cutter report?
Combination, I mean, here, if the sinks are really getting broke off every month, that's a bigger problem. That's something, I mean, in my opinion, we need to get a little more strict on when they're getting broke. I don't know how we catch them, because you can't put cameras in there. You can put cameras on the doorway going into the bathroom and catch the kids going in. I don't know, but, I mean, it's ridiculous that we got sinks getting broke off every single month.
Are we working on the heat-related problems and the heat?
That's been fixed. So the problem some of it was they had we left when we basically come to realize that the blowers, if you leave or turn the system higher, instead of turning it down every night and having it work its way back up, that seemed to be more of what was causing some of our heat related problems. So if you keep them on basically occupancy, we haven't had some of the heat issues.
I'm just wondering if his report is just.
I mean, I don't know if it's been recent, but I know that there was the heat, that was the problem with the heat, and I will look into the reports for the board.
And then before graduation, is the junk pile out by the garage gonna get cleaned up a little bit or no?
Again?
The pallet area or
Yeah, it
the,
just looks.
So I have a feeling that you've gotten some of the same comments that I've gotten, that we just spent $21 million on a school, and things like the grass isn't trimmed around the building, it's a foot tall, there's junk piles, we've got trees laying in the yard, we've got, the sink thing is a new one, not a new one, but it's probably not something the public hears a lot about. But I've been getting complaints that we authorized a $21 million referendum to make the school nice and clean and new, and it seems to be falling apart again, so.
We'll follow up on that.
I'm assuming you got the same complaints, so.
I have a question about the ball fields. Who's responsible to maintain the ball field? Specifically baseball.
They have a new person who's starting to mow grass and that stuff.
Who is it? And are they affiliated with the school, or you mean like a volunteer?
It's someone outside the school. I don't know what her name is for sure, but she just started last week, I think, started mowing
I
grass.
think she was out
Why are-
more tonight.
Why are we hiring outside of, I mean, that to me is ridiculous. I mean, the school should take care of the ball field.
Well, we used to
Well,
have
it's a
grounds.
school employee.
Yeah,
Oh,
Someone the
okay.
school hired to
That's
cut
what
the
I'm
grass.
asking. Is
we
it
used to have
fall?
grounds.
Yeah.
for-
We used to.
Who was doing that?
Jake Nelson had done it for a while. Ryan Sansel did last fall. I reached out to Ryan about maintaining the fields and stuff like that this spring. And I got a, yeah, I'll do it, and never got any follow through on it. So Brian sought out someone else to come in and take care of cutting grass.
Because we had Frank Herbis for a long time, right? And then
Yep.
when he
And
left.
Frank was pretty much volunteer.
Right,
Yep.
exactly, right? And then after that, they had to try to find it. So like, who's putting the lines on the field and things
I'm
like
paying
that?
students to line the fields. The seniors that have release at the end of the day for privilege are getting paid to line the fields.
Okay, in the past, before Frank Herbis,
Mhm.
was that done by grounds, like maintenance or other people? Anybody know? I know when I was in school, our school took care of all of that, you know, it wasn't like.
And I'm not sure,
It
because
was
when I
done-
started here, Frank was doing a lot of that stuff already.
It was done when I was first coaching here, and I was coaching softball, it was done by the custodial staff. That was
Yeah,
part of their job, but
So
we
I-
also had 3 and
More
4 extra
project
people.
stories.
We had more we don't, each year we cut it and cut it and cut it, then it got to be the athletic director's job, and then it got to be the coach's job.
don't we have one less building and the same staff?
Mhm.
So I mean, there's gotta be room, and then, you know, other things aren't being taken care of, so time-wise, I'm a little bit concerned that it just keeps getting pushed off, and, you know, football and wrestling and some of these other sports might be important, but baseball, you know, there's other things that can be done, I feel like, that can make an impact here as far as like custodians doing some of that work and not trying to push it off on a coach or somebody else. That's my personal opinion.
Okay,
Just gotta make sure that the public sees that we're taking care of the school, because, again, that was one of the primary concerns before we started the referendum, that why would we authorize sticking money into the school?
Jason's got it.
I think it's good that some of the high school kids are doing some of the lining in the field, so they see
Yeah.
what goes into taking care of a sporting event before they can actually play.
Yeah, there's like 4 kids that I can count, 2 for baseball, 2 for softball. They're like, yeah, they were excited to get paid to do it.
But we're paying other people already. That's my-
All right.
I'm glad they have the experience.
Okay, any other administrative reports? All right, let's move on to the,
Move to approve the consent agenda.
A second.
all right, we have a second. Do we have any discussion regarding the consent agenda items?
Under the financial statement, there was a bill that caught my attention. It was golf carts for $1,600.
Kurt, sorry.
Was it for the golf team?
It says girl.
Yes, boys and girls golfer, they share them.
What was that for, like, the annual field fees?
The carts that they hold.
The carts, like they got new
Oh,
carts.
there's clubs.
Yeah, the brand new carts they have, yeah, that's for boys and girls golf. And that came out of our fundraised money for advertising.
Okay, because it just says golf carts, girls golf, and I'm like,
So,
They buy
yes, Kurt?
money?
It's used by boys and girls.
okay. I just
So
thought
that
it
was
odd that it's
out of
not-
our advertising funds and a way to support both programs.
Because girls golf is in the fall, that's why I thought. it was
Yep.
kinda odd.
And then actually,
Okay, that makes sense, I just wanted to know. Thank you.
And then they're doing something one.
All right, any other questions regarding the consent agenda or discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay.
Move to approve the HVAC piping project for summer 2025 in the amount of $597,343.44 from Barkerville Mechanical.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Do we have any further discussion regarding that?
So again, I'll just mention again, this is for buildings 2, 4, 6, and 9. That is basically half of the project, so then the other half would be done the following summer. And they will start, the crew that's finishing the pool boilers, they will take like more or less a week off, and then they will start this project as soon as school gets out, with the hope to have it done sometime early August before students and staff come back.
Okay, any other questions or further discussion? All those in favor say aye. All those opposed say nay. Motion passes.
Move to approve first reading policy 5411, new policy third grade promotion or retention at-risk students.
We have a motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Do we have any discussion?
So I'll just mention that this, as I mentioned, my board memo two is part of Act 20. We do have to have a retention policy now for students because of the new reading law. So this would be what we would follow. It does not have to be implemented though until September 1st of 2027, but it does have to be a board policy to July 1st of 2025.
Okay, do we have any other further discussion regarding the policy?
Are we going to implement it?
Yes, well,
Okay.
yes, it's
I mean,
state law. Yeah, you have to.
This year?
No, it'll be because it's, we would have, would be the following, because, or you have till September 1st of 2027. Part of it is, what does that summer school look like? The testing, because of, with the elementary, we did not do the fall assessment, so students did not start a reading plan until after the winter assessment. And so, again, the rollout isn't there, so that's why they're giving us some time to implement it. But obviously, we will have to work on what that will look like in the future.
But if you have kids that are obviously not meeting those requirements, you're still gonna.
Yeah, and it's, so there's, and if you look at what's offered for summer school, there are some reading support there.
Thank you. Any other discussion? All right. So we have a motion and a second, no more discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes.
Move to approve the second reading of Neola policies 1 through 19.
Second.
All right, we have a second, any discussion or go ahead?
And again, there's no changes to these from last time. Just these were policies from last year that had been brought to the board, so just kind of doing catch up with those. We'll have the next batch probably at the July board meeting.
Sorry, can I ask a quick question? Did we
Yes.
make a change last year about, if a kid comes from Rice Lake?
I was just gonna ask that, you read my mind on that. In other words, for the valedictorian, how many years do they have to attend?
We clarified that language in the student handbook that you approved.
Last year?
Yes, and so that'll stay in there as
Okay.
when you approve it again this.
Did you just?
It was the same as it was intended to be. We just clarified the language that they have to be here for 3 full school years. So they have to be here sophomore.
Yeah.
Sophomore through the end of their senior year because we had a situation last year where the student left and came back. But we clearly got it stated in there.
Okay.
And you had approved that last summer.
Yeah.
Just wondering.
Technically not the motion, but
Okay.
good question though.
Thank you.
Okay, any other discussion regarding the second reading? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. All right, the upcoming meeting dates, looks like we have June 18th, I guess would be the next one, back on schedule Wednesday.
Correct.
16th, 20th, all good there. Nothing to approve there. Have a motion to adjourn the executive session.
Move to enter an executive session to consider any employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation of a public employee pursuant to Wisconsin statute 19.85 to discuss 2025-26 staffing, 2025-26 staff salaries, support staff wages, and administrative salaries. And final notice of non-renewal for teacher and pursuant to Wisconsin statute 19.85 to consider financial, medical, social, or personal history or disciplinary data of specific persons surrounding a possible personnel issue.
Second.
Second, any discussion? Roll call.
Nancy,
Yes.
Mrs. Keeble.
Yes.
Dustin, yes. George Schuler not present. Jen Pearson.
Yes.
Mike Russell not present. Jeff Harmon.
Yes.
Here and there. Move to approve Peyton Seaballs, Jason Lehman, and Adriana Schaffenbull as resignations from physical ed, boys basketball coach, and high school math.
Second.
We have a second. Any discussions regarding staff resignations? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay.
Move to approve the retirement of Lynn Claus, LMHS paraprofessional, and the retirement of Bruce Gunderson, LMHS night custodian.
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion regarding retirements?
Yeah, is, Lynn's husband retiring too, or leaving?
Not that I know
I would like to thank both of them for all their years of service. I don't know if Bruce hasn't been all that long, but Lynn's been in the district a long time.
Yes.
I'd like to thank her for, it's pretty much the same type of position, so. Thank you to her and best of luck.
Tremendous. Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay.
Move to approve the hiring of 2025 summer school staff as presented.
Second.
We have a second. Do we have any discussion regarding the summer school staff? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay.
Move to approve Timothy Callow as high school math teacher.
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion regarding the math teacher? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay.
Why was that so fast?
What?
Move to approve the 25-26 professional staff contracts as presented.
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion regarding the professional staff contracts? All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Motion passes. Go ahead.
Move to approve the employee compensation package for 25-26 as presented. 2.95% increase for 24-25 hourly staff, $1,200 increase for 24-25 professional staff, and additional compensation consistent with administrative recommendation for professional staff.
Second.
We have a second. Any discussion? All those in favor as read?
Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Motion passes.
Then you don't have to do the last one.
And then make a motion to amend the agenda to remove section I, approval of final notice of non-renewal of the teacher.
So it's not being tabled, it is being just being removed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Second.
All right, we got a second. All those in favor of removing the approval of the final notice of non-renewal of a teacher?
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Motion to adjourn.
I have one thing.
Oh, yeah.
I would like to congratulate Leo Leball on getting the Chamber of Commerce's Educator of the Year.
You know, we used to have board discussion and bring up things like that at the beginning and things, and they moved it down to the bottom.
No, it's gone.
No, it's just gone altogether. It was just always a couple quick hitters where somebody said something like positive like that.
It'd be good to add that back in, because I think it would be good to start the meeting off with some positive notes.
You know Russell's gonna tell stories.
Yeah,
Well, we're gonna have to keep him in check, though, that he's not the boss, man.
I mean, we do it typically right after the comments of the audience, we do comments from the board.
We can put that back in. My prior
You can put that in the
They have the
minutes too.
senior night.
Yeah, they talk about the
You'll
senior
write
night,
that
they
coming
say,
up and-
what a wonderful graduation ceremony it was, or
That's
something
fine.
like that, you know, something to say, or, you know, maybe we could find something to say good about you too, Jim.
Thanks for all your work.
The banquet for Leo is this Thursday.
Jim, thanks for everything you've done too. We really appreciate it.
Oh,
Not a problem, thank you.
And you can have supper when you're here.
Move and make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All right.
Oh, sure, you'll second
Now you
that.
Yeah.
Aye.
All right, motion is adjourned, meeting is adjourned.